I don't enjoy sharing this information with anyone, but I'm not sure what to do anymore. I have literally no one to talk to that will believe my story. I recently found out that my grandfather was a member of the KGB. This was extremely surprising to me, as my parents had never even mentioned to my brother or I that we had any ancestors that were Russian, or even lived in Russia. 2 weeks ago, however, I found out the truth. My mum asked me to go and pick up some of my grandfather's stuff because he had passed away just a few days before. Everything else will be donated or thrown away, my mum said. I drove my dad's pickup to my grandfather's place, which was only about a 15 minutes drive from our house. And it felt strange knowing that he wasn't even there to greet me. I opened the door and already even had a plan. I was just looking for a few things that had sentimental value to me. I didn't need anything expensive or fancy. I immediately reached for a picture of my grandpa when I was fishing from a few years back. It was still placed on one of his dressers. A thin layer of dust began to surface over it, and I brushed off the dust and stared at the picture. "Don't be such a pussy, Dan," I said, exhaling and trying not to cry. I looked at my grandfather's dresser, and he never allowed me to even open it. "A man's drawers are his private and personal business, Daniel," he used to say to me. I don't know why I cared so much about seeing his clothing, but I figured there was a few Hawaiian shirts I could pick up for a keepsake to remember him by. I opened up the first drawer and saw his boxers, instantly closing it. "Sorry, Gramps," I said. I opened up the second drawer on the left and found all of his old t-shirts. As I rummaged through the shirts, I felt a clicking sound. I threw all of the shirts onto the bed and found some papers folded into one of the shirt pockets. It was a birth certificate, but the strange part that it was written in Russian. I obviously couldn't read it, but the birthday stood out to me more than anything. 17th of the 6th, 1933. This man shared the same birthday as my grandfather. I sat there for a great deal and stared at the certificate. What could it mean? I knew that I had discovered something strange. I opened up the rest of the drawers except the bottom right one, which seemed to be stuck, so I jiggled the handle. I continued to wriggle the handle, but it wouldn't budge, and finally I decided to kick the goddamn thing open. Once I managed to reach it inside a large hole, I grabbed whatever I could. From there, I pulled out an old passport from years ago, and I'm talking around the 60s. The man definitely resembled my grandfather, but his name was different. It said Nikolai Tochkevich. I skimmed through all of the pages. He was going back and forth from Russia, Siberia, and back to the US. I pulled out another passport, and this time I recognised my grandpa in the photo. He was much older, maybe his 60s, and his name was Arnold Darby. That's who I knew him as, not this stranger Nikolai. I pulled out photos from him back in the day. He was dressed in some sort of military uniform, and I recognised the badges as a symbol for the USSR. There were dozens of photos, all of them with military men. One even appeared to be the general. As I continued to search, I found several documents that were written in Russian. I shoved everything into my backpack and ran out the door. The next day at school, I accidentally ran into one of the Russian students at our school. His name was Victor, and he was a foreign exchange student from Kazakhstan. But I knew for a fact that he spoke Russian fluently. I bumped into him after 7th period. "Oh, sorry man," I say. "It's okay," he says with a very thick accent. "You're Victor, right?" I ask. "Yes, you're Daniel. I sit across from you in geography," he says awkwardly. "Well listen, I'd love to get to know you and your culture a little bit better. As you know, I'm on the newspaper. We haven't written an article about your experiences in America yet," I say, smiling. He looks at me for a few seconds, hesitant to answer. "Is this joke?" he asks. No joke," I say, startled. "Been okay, my friend?" He pats me on the back. "Great. Well, are you free now? I know a great pizza place that's pretty close to here," I say. He nods and follows me to my car. We don't say much whilst driving those 5 minutes, and I can tell he's uncomfortable. "Well, we're here." I turn off the car as he follows me into the pizza place. To be honest, the pizza is crap. I just know that nobody ever goes in there because the food is nothing to write home about. We take a seat in the corner booth where it's dark. The waitress is too busy talking to her boyfriend to even notice us. "Look, I brought you here for a reason. I just want to get to the point," I say. "They should have guessed," he sighs. "What do you want? An impression from Borat? To ask if I'm a Russian spy?" He starts to get up. No, wait. I'm starting to get anxious, and he can see that. "What's the matter, Daniel?" "Please just sit." I motion him back to the booth. He sits down, placing his palms firmly on the table. "I think that I'm Russian," I say. "Okay, this is such a bad thing?" he asks. No, of course not," I pause. "I found some strange documents in my grandpa's house and I was wondering if you could translate for me," I ask. "Hand them over," he asks. I shuffled around in my backpack and handed him all of the packets. He looks at the passports and compares the two men. "He was not here legally, your grandfather." "Oh?" I say, startled. He continues to read, and he's quiet for a while. "Is this some sort of joke?" he finally asks. "What? No. Look how old these documents are. I couldn't make this up," I say. "Then there are some things you must know. Your father was a member of the KGB, and he came to this country as a spy. He was set to follow up a secret mission in 2020, he says warily. Whoa, that's so badass. No, not badass. This operation, he trailed off. What? What's wrong? I could hear the panic in his voice. Well, from these documents, it seems that the operation was deadly. Operation Desvidanya. What? I ask. Operation Goodbye, he says. Well, what does it mean? I ask. It means your grandfather was in this country planning to destroy the world, or at least America. The Russian government has military gas that can make people do strange things, he says, frowning. What type of things? I ask. Killing one another, biting people, eating them. It says they tested this out years ago on the Nazis, but it failed. Until a new doctor arrived, Dr. Chronicles. He invented something deadly. Wait, are you saying zombies? I asked. He doesn't say another word. Instead, he packs up his things and hurries out of the restaurant. I run after him, but he just keeps running. I'm not sure what's going on, or what these documents are, but Victor won't talk to me anymore. And Operation Desvidanya is set to start in 2 years. The strangest part is that the past few days I've been receiving these bizarre phone calls. The person on the other line is speaking Russian. I can hear strange yelling in the background. They keep repeating the same thing over and over again, and then they hang up. Last night, I received an encrypted email sent to my personal address with an uploaded video. I clicked the link and it showed complete chaos. There were 3 men violently attacking and eating another man. Once the video stopped, my computer completely shut down. Like I said, I don't know what to do anymore. But there's one thing that really bothers me. Since my grandfather passed away, will somebody be taking his place?